Okay. Hello, everyone from Warrior Women in Business podcast, episode number 72. My name is Jasmine Sandler. I am the host and creator and CEO of Warrior Women in Business. And for those of you that may be new, and hopefully there are some of you that are new to Warrior Women in Business, I'd like to give a little bit of background about our mission and what we do here. So we are a division of my main company called JS Media, which is a digital marketing and branding consultancy since 2006. Warrior Women in Business is very, very intentional as a marketing and media organization based in New York City with offices and services in Beverly Hills, Chicago, and in Florida to really help women entrepreneurs and women in the arts succeed economically. This is my main mission in life and through Warrior Women in Business. And so we do a lot of things. Primarily what we do is we help women business owners, what we call fast track their success through providing very cost-effective programs, especially around digital marketing and branding, which you can see at warriorwomenbusiness.com. And also we produce and host what I think are very interesting and very cool events. Sometimes we do them alone and sometimes we do them with partners, and they are A, educational, B, about connecting with female leaders like my guest today, and then C, they're fun. So we always have performances. I am a composer myself, and I'm really about also supporting all of the female creative professionals out there. Lastly, we are a partner here in New York City of many divisions, actually, of the New York City Mayor's Office to help to give back. So right now we are in planning of an event, most likely at the end of October. We're waiting on the final date. Every year we do this. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and internationally it's End Gender-Based Violence. It's an initiative. We always do something in October, so you can look out for that announcement. We always have an event. Last year, I think we had a silent auction. It's fun. We make things fun and we give back. And we're planning events throughout the year. Next year, we are actually planning, because one last thing I want to say about Warrior Women is we do have a merchandise fashion line, and we're going couture 2026. So if you're going to be attending New York Fashion Week, please look us up because we're going to be having an event in February. So all of that being said, the podcast is where I, Jasmine Sandler, bring in female leaders across industry, women that I think are really focused on intentionally driving action for all of us women business owners out there in a way that really helps us to see growth in our businesses. So that being said, I want to welcome Vanity Bryant, VP of Programming at Key4women of KeyBank, to the show. Welcome, Vanity.
Thank you so much, Jasmine. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Yeah, and she's right now in Albany, New York, and she's super busy. She's going to tell us about all the programs that Key4women is doing and what she's leading there. So I really thank you for taking time out, the next half hour to really go through what you're doing there and how you're helping women in business.
Yes, absolutely. There's so much going on and all good things. And this is the best part of my job when I can dive in and share, what Key for Women mission statements about what we have going on, but
Yeah.
then also always thinking about that end user in mind, right? Like how do we help? How do we bridge those gaps that exist?
Yeah, absolutely. So just a quick background on how Vanity and I connected. I saw her out there and I connected and I thought, what a better way to support both, you know, women business customers, women business owners that might be customers of KeyBank, as well as Warrior Women in Business. So you're going to see more of that as we move forward to how we're going to support our organizations. And she really does get things done. So why don't you give us a little bit of background on your journey in helping women in business and how you got to where your position is today?
Yes, most certainly. I was just telling this story to another one of my colleagues. So it's interesting. So I did not start in the finance industry. I'm actually celebrating 6 years with KeyBank today. So this is 6 years of my
Oh,
banking
congratulations.
career.
Well, I
Thank
gotta
you.
say, can I say something? Warrior Women in Business is 6 years old.
Wow, look at this, the constant synergy. The
We are.
constant synergy.
We really are. Anyway, so
That's
sorry
a
to interrupt you, but go ahead.
No, it's okay. So But prior to stepping into my banking career, I actually was in women's apparel, and mostly management positions. So think, you brought up Couture, some other synergy here, and Taylor, the Limited, who's now retired. And if you are probably Gen Z, you don't know what that is. But again, those were some of the brands I worked at. And when I think about it holistically, my jobs have always been anchored in helping women. So, I remember those women who would come into the fitting room and, maybe they lost a loved one, or maybe they haven't honestly wore a pair of jeans in, 2 years because of, having a child, and
Yeah.
seeing them light up. Like, I'm like, no, girl, you can wear jeans. There's jeans here for you. Right. So just again,
Okay.
making women feel good. And
Mm.
now fast forward, just being able to do that on a larger scale, right? I'm talking about changing the trajectory of someone's life. It's
Yeah, it's
it's
pretty
so
awesome.
rewarding. From helping, I haven't always been in this program manager position. Throughout my time in the bank, I was a relationship manager, branch manager. So, whether it was first time home ownership, helping someone fix their credit or rebuild their credit,
That's a huge one.
a, a huge one, huge one.
Huge.
We talk about access to capital. So helping
Yeah.
that business owner achieve their first line of credit so they can start their business. I mean, I've been fortunate to really have my hands in a little bit of everything. And again, truly women have been at the forefront of that. So that is just a brief synopsis of kind of my trajectory over the last few years. But again, I don't think I've had that aha moment until recently, when I again set back and I was like, oh my God, everything I've done has been anchored in women, helping women. So,
Mm. Well, I think it's, first of all, it's amazing that you can see it, and that you can then take that and you can put that into the efforts of what you're doing on a daily basis. A lot of women and a lot of business owners can't do that. So that's kind of a big deal. It's not, I think your role is not for everyone, is what I'm saying. It really takes a special person to be able to do this and recognize it and do something with it. So I have to
yeah,
say,
I thank you. And what I will say, I think my breadth of experience, I feel as though I can meet that client or prospect where they are, and no judgment, because God knows I've been at my lowest, right? And
yeah.
that is a story in itself, right?
Yes.
But
Yeah.
again, just allowing that person to sit across from me at my office desk or across from me on a screen, and no judgment zone. I genuinely am here to help. And if I can't help, I'm genuinely going to connect you with someone who does. And, when thinking about our Key4women program, a lot of excitement this year. We're celebrating our 20-year anniversary this year. So this program
Oh.
started in 2005 in Albany, New York. So,
You and I have way too much in common. My main company is 20 years old. It's too
oh my
strange.
goodness,
Too
should we play
weird.
the lottery or something? I don't know. I stopped buying scratch tickets a few
You
years
know
ago,
what?
but
Let's play the lottery. But
let's
go
play the
ahead.
lottery.
I'm down.
Um, But yeah, so we're celebrating our 20th anniversary. As I mentioned at the top
Yeah.
of the call, we have our annual forum.
Yeah.
Juliana Rancic is going to be our keynote speaker
Um,
tomorrow. So we try to provide, and all of our programming, and I definitely want to double click on this. All of our programming is complimentary. So to join our Key4women program, there's no fee associated. And if you choose to either attend a virtual webinar or come to one of our in-person events, again, all of this program is complimentary, and it's truly to help. Again, I think about our pillars: advocate, connect, and empower. That is at the forefront of everything we do.
absolutely.
So, giving you these opportunities to be in a room, because I'm sure we can all attest to being in that right room. You talk about changing the trajectory, right? Meeting that one person, having that one connection could be that aha moment you needed, or that break you needed, or just that gym, someone just leaving, a few, like a, just again, leaving a gym with you, and just like you being able to take that and either enhance your career growth or your business,
Yeah,
whatever makes sense for you at that time.
absolutely. So a couple of questions I have based on, I love this conversation because it's very organic. So so
That's what I love.
because we're both so busy, but which is fine. So a couple of questions based on what you were saying. I was just kind of thinking, One thing that I've noticed quite a bit is sometimes women in business have a hard time asking for things in a way that will meet their worth. So, because you are in banking and because we're talking about women communications and networking, can you talk about best practices or things that you've seen or any advice around that? Because I get that a lot just talking to members. So
Oh yeah, so another plug here on our Key4women website, we do have something called the Negotiate Her quiz, and that's actually a
love it.
tool and resource. And Jasmine, I'll get you that link because that could
Yeah, we'll
definitely
put
be a
that in the show
tool.
notes after. Yeah, we'll send that out. That sounds very great.
Perfect.
Go ahead.
So again, a resource. I think that is it's been a common theme, I think decades now, right? Where you're
Yes,
unsure, like what is my worth? And then
yes.
unfortunately your male counterparts are in most cases still getting rewarded at a higher rate that, right? So how do
Absolutely.
you navigate that? And these are things I'm learning too in real time. Talk it through with a trusted advisor. And Jasmine, we had a preliminary call and I talked about that center of influence, right? What does that look like?
Yeah,
Truly, that mentor. Hey, I'm going for this raise or I'm going for this job and this is how I want to show up. Help me talk through this. So it's
absolutely.
really just taking inventory of what you have going on now, what is the end goal, and again identifying who could help you along the way. I think raising your hand, again having that center of influence, raising your hand saying I need help or I would like your advice. I think sometimes we're warriors, we want to do it all and we can do it
So
all,
true.
but there's nothing wrong with asking for help or again taking inventory of those core people in your life so that way
Absolutely.
you have your center of influence and they can help guide you through some of these tougher conversations, these life events, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. So at Warrior Women, we have four different types of memberships, but one that I want to talk about because it is really all about women of influence. So we have our executive membership program are the women that a lot of them that I've interviewed on the podcast and a lot of them that have spoke at Warrior Women events. And some of them are coaches for us and some of them aren't, and it's fine. But they are really women that have been there and done that. And it was honestly one of the reasons I put this together is to bring the female leaders that have been there, done that, that are these centers of influence and are looking to have, are really honestly looking to have impact, to be available. I myself called one of our members today because I was stuck. And I called her and I took 5 minutes out from my insane day. And I said, listen, I'm stuck here. Can we talk through this? And it really brightened my day and changed what I'm going to do. And, a 5 minute conversation.
Anything.
You don't need you don't need hours and hours and hours. And I think you and I also, Vanity, need to be that. I think we all need to do that when we are lucky enough to have positions or we built these positions, right?
Absolutely. Who's your North Star, right? And like, I think identifying that to like who do you inspire to be like? I'm so fortunate that I have a lot of North Stars. I have a lot of women that I admire either within my COI base or from afar. And I'm always taking little tidbits of how I can improve myself. And you ask like what are some, another tip is just be vulnerable. There's no ego with me.
Yes, that's
I
important.
want to continue to grow and I also want to feel those who want to help me, that you feel welcome to come do so. Again, no barriers.
I like that
So
you said
yes.
no judgments as well, because that can be an uncomfortable part of opening of, the vulnerability and, being strong, letting your guard down. I think that was very important that you talked about that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's tough. It's because
Mhm.
we're always thinking about how do we present? Like, who's judging me? Again, a lot of
Absolutely.
times the end user. And it's like, you know what? We're all human. We're all human. And I think unfortunately, we lose sight of that. But truly, I don't, there's no one I associate myself with that I know they're trying to better themselves. They're trying to be the best version of
Yes,
themselves. They're trying to show up better today than they did yesterday, right? And again, I welcome and open the doors to a community of women who want to do that and be that.
absolutely. So let's talk a little bit. Thanks for sharing too. So let's talk a little bit about some of the resources, right? So my last guest was amazing. She runs a company called Watch Her Prosper. And we're talking about doing an event, which I mentioned to you, on really, I'm very much about action, hence the warrior women, right? So we're talking about, doing a workshop where you come in and you just lay it all on the table. She even asked, have you done your books? When's the last time you've done your books, right? That type of real putting it on paper conversation. So I'm wondering, right? So for the women that need, a lot of them ask about grants, loans, how does it work? Where do I get access? There's so much out there. So is it possible you could list anything for my audience around grants, loans, how to approach these, how you can prepare yourself for, like you mentioned, a startup loan for
Yes.
the members.
Yes, I would say a great starting point would be key.com, just bringing it full circle.
Mhm.
We have Key4women as an under the umbrella of KeyBank as a resource again to help women business owners and professionals. But again, just thinking about wherever you're starting, I think your banker, having a relationship with your banker is key because even if, and I've said this numerous times, maybe we don't have the solve for you today, but a lot of times based on the banker's resources, they can connect you with someone who does. You think about attorney, CPA, insurance.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I recall sitting, in my branch and just having these relationships with all of these subject matter experts. So
Hmm.
you're coming to me for one thing and I'm like, no, Jasmine, I got your CPA, I got your attorney. You need a grant, I'm going to connect you with someone at SCORE, right?
Yeah,
So
right,
I
right, right.
truly think that relationship with your banker is essential. And obviously my opinion's biased because
No,
I
listen,
work
I
at a bank,
really couldn't
but
agree with you more. I feel like I've been talking to a wall for a long time with the bank. I'm not gonna,
yes,
I'm not mentioning any names about banks, but
remain
but
nameless.
it, but I'm like, I think to myself, I'm a marketing expert. Why am I educating a banker on how to be a banker? Because as a marketing expert, when someone comes to us because their marketing is generally broken or they usually have wasted a lot of money on marketing and not moving forward, if they need other things that are like you mentioned complementary to marketing, I need to have a network of vetted professionals that I can refer them to. That should be the value, or even I sometimes introduce them to custom clients. So I love that you're talking about this. Do you think that KeyBank is different in that way? And can you talk a little bit about KeyBank in terms of size, and if a woman business owner might be with another bank right now, or maybe she's with 3 or 4 banks because she's diversified. Where
Right.
does KeyBank or Key4women fit in that?
Yeah. So, I'll start with KeyBank. So, and I'll quickly share my own testimonial, if you will, with
Sure.
my previous banking relationship prior to coming into banking. So, I too, I would say I was intimidated by going into the banks and being vulnerable. And for
Yeah.
instance, when I went to go buy my first home, I didn't go to a traditional bank. I actually went to a broker who was like on the corner of one of the streets, 10 minutes from my house
Oh,
because
oh, a
I,
broker. Okay, got you.
yes, a mortgage broker. So, and they were fabulous. I have no regrets in doing that, but I truly ended up going there because I didn't want to walk into a bank, the fear of being judged, because truly I know I didn't have my ducks in a row, right? So
Yes, I understand what you
I did
mean.
not want that person on the other side of the desk to judge me. And in my mind, going to a mortgage broker, it just seemed more intimate.
Yeah, of
Honestly, it was a
course.
referral. So I had a friend who did it.
Okay, right.
So, I get the stigma behind, taking that courage or not wanting to, moreover, to go into a financial institution because it is the fear of judgment. Where I feel as though KeyBank differentiates from other financial institutions, I just feel like we're real people. I can't say this enough from, looking around, from taking a view of across the enterprise and just our amazing teammates. Like, we are not here to judge you. We are here to help you. Like, financial wellness is at the core of what we do.
Love
We
that.
actually come in, or when we sit down with one of our prospects or clients, typically we're starting that kind of conversation with a financial wellness review. Again, we want to meet that person where they're at.
Love it.
I have had other banking relationships. I can't say my bank has had that approach,
Yeah.
truthfully. And
Yeah.
I think those are some of the differentiators, the people and the processes that are in place to make you feel comfortable, to make you, again, take a landscape view of what you have going on. And listen, it might not be right now. Or, hey, you should have been come in because I could have, again,
Yeah, you
we're gonna
should,
meet you
right.
where you
I
are.
agree.
We're gonna meet you where you are. And then now we go over to programming like Key4women, a
Yes.
complimentary service, right? We're not, you don't have to be a client to be part of Key4women. We have over
Right. I'm a
12,000
member.
members, right? Like,
Yeah.
come get the education, come get the networking opportunities. Again, we want to continue to bridge those gaps, and meet you wherever you're at. And I don't want to beat a dead horse, but it's so true. Like, we are here to help and assist and, again, provide that financial wellness.
Yeah, and financial wellness is so crucial. And it's an old adage, they should have taught this in school. You always hear that, right? About personal financial management, because obviously your habits and behaviors from personal to professional when you're a business owner, I mean, they cross the line. So that's where I have my next question is for the women business owners that, might struggle between managing personal and professional when it comes to their business banking, their business financials, and their personal. Any advice around that for women business owners?
So a lot of what I've identified, a lot of our or a lot of prospects and clients I've talked to, they don't know the difference.
Mhm.
Some of them don't know that they have business credit. So
Interesting.
be curious. I would just be curious. And tell your full story. Because luckily we have these financial wellness reviews in place to identify, we're digging deep. We're asking the questions, and typically we can, I guess you could say, give you a recommended plan, on
Yep.
what next steps may be. Because again, I'll use the example of you coming into my office. I'm a subject matter expert on ABC, but a lot of times I'll have to pull in a partner. Oh, maybe you need cash management services.
Yep.
Maybe you need someone to help you with accounts payable. Maybe you need a financial advisor. You haven't been contributing to your 401k as
Yeah. Yeah.
aggressively as you would like, right? So yeah, I think about, just ask the question, because there is a difference between your personal and your business finances. And I have seen on numerous occasions people mixing the two, and that can be a
Enjoying them.
nightmare.
It's a nightmare for an accountant.
Exactly,
Yes, I
exactly.
know. No, I love this. So, I mean, there are fast track digital marketing plan of which we're offering discounts for key members and our members. It's exact when people ask me, well, what is it? I'm like, it's a assessment and a tune up because you have to look at things 360. It's not just one. For example, people sometimes come to me, women business owners, and they'll say, I've heard from 90 million consultants that I should be doing this in Instagram. And I always say the same thing. Give me the whole picture. Give me the whole picture. So with banking, I think it's the same thing. It can't be just, for example, your books. You need to know what your revenue is and your financial goals and your staffing. And I'm assuming when you do your financial wellness, there's a lot of elements to it, correct? Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not a lengthy process. It does depend on where the person is for that, for that matter. But yeah, I again, putting my branch manager hat back on, I would sit down with the client half an hour to maybe an hour, depending on the complexities of what they had going on. And
Mm.
again, I have a landscape view, and at the end, we have the recommendations and the go forward. And it's really important that we, I don't want to say hold their hands, but we guide them through those next steps too, right? Because time, we've talked about it a few times, Jasmine. Time, in my opinion, is in the older I get, it's the highest form of currency, right? So
Yeah,
we
oh, 100%. Health and time.
Yep, exactly. So, we
Yeah.
want to make sure that again, the person on the opposite side of that desk or screen, their time is valued, and we want to make sure that plan is diligent. And again, we're able to walk them through A through Z.
I love that. We're so parallel. And it's so, so important. That's why I really hope that my members and attendees that they start, that they go to your website. We're going to put anything that you provide, any resources, we'll put in the show notes for everybody so you can get familiar because a lot of folks might not know about the bank and if they don't know about the bank, they're not going to know about Key4women. And at least from what I've seen, even how long have we known each other? Maybe a couple of weeks. And I'm thinking, I know there's more that I've learned from you than some of these big banks. It's incredible because of that personal service. And it's so important when you're a women business owner, when you're not yet at that commercial, right, banking level of the millions, right? You're not there yet. It's hard to get attention, resource, and
Absolutely.
someone to actually care about your time. So,
Absolutely. And that's what's great, honestly, like, because we have a solve for that. So, we have a sector in the bank, our key private bank sector that is available for the affluent. And we're actually doing a 4-part series right now, virtual series. We actually just wrapped our first part today.
yeah.
So yeah, no, again, we will meet you where you are. We will meet you where you are, and that's the beauty in it. So we're in 15 states. We go from Maine to Alaska, as far as the KeyBank footprint.
Okay.
We're in 27 markets. We're mostly I we did have a branch in Manhattan. I don't think we no longer do, but we have
Yeah,
corporate
it's not.
offices, and so again, and we can be found online, and there's a lot after COVID, so many things have been
Oh my God, all the banking
we've
has,
accomplished virtually, right? So yes, I will give you all the details so you can share with the audience.
okay. I have three questions left because I know you have to
Oh
do
yeah,
some.
yeah, no worries.
So, other organizations or associations that you might recommend for women in business related to financial wellness besides
Yeah,
banking? Yeah, do
yeah,
you have?
absolutely. So I mentioned SCORE. They've
Hmm.
been a great partner of ours. WPO, the Women's
Oh yeah.
President's Organization.
Great.
They are again another great resource, a great community, and
Mhm.
they are global. They expand outside the US.
Mhm.
NAWBO,
Right.
NAWBO,
I was the
that
former
is
president of NAPA.
okay. So yeah, so I mean,
Yeah.
those are just some right off the top of my head. And then also I would advise, because sometimes those smaller organizations, Google, I don't use the internet and Google. Like, what are some of the organizations in my backyard? You'll be surprised as far as the meetup groups, virtual webinars. Again,
Was.
these resources that are available to you. So sometimes they're hidden gems, if you will. So I would definitely use the internet as a resource to search what those other communities and organizations or organizations within the communities look like. But those are a few that again just come to mind, and has not only helped me personally and professionally, but has also helped with our people in programming.
Yeah, I spoke at one of the WPO events, and what I really think is great about the WPO, in my own personal opinion, is that they kind of give you a framework, a little bit of guide about how to get from your whatever south of $500,000 to $500,000
Right.
million. I think is so necessary,
Absolutely.
you know, that
Absolutely.
guidance.
Hence why, they've been such a great partner. Again, a lot of synergy there. We all have common goals. So yeah, I would agree with that.
Absolutely. Okay. When I asked you, and I reached out to Vanity out of the blue, as I do with everybody, because that's who I am. I see somebody and I'm like, well, they're going to be great on the podcast, so I'm going to call them. So when I said, would you like to be on the Warrior Women in Business podcast? And I told you a little bit about the company, what came to mind?
Well, one, I love your branding.
Thank you.
I absolutely love your branding. What came to mind with taking the visual out of it, The name is truthfully Warrior Women. I thought about the invisible cape we all wear. Whether we want to brand ourselves as warriors, you've had a warrior moment, you're having your warrior moment, or tighten up that cape because that warrior moment's on the way. And I when I hear that name is strength, it's resilience. Um, and again, that's without me delving in to actually,
Yep.
see exactly what you do and former guests. It's the name, it's the branding. And as I did start to deep dive and spiral as I do when I get on the internet, again, there was so much synergy, and we've had some amazing conversations that have solidified the synergy. And again, we have a common goal. So those are some of the few things. When I got wind of what you're doing, the amazing work you're doing is what came to mind.
Well, first of all, thank you. And second of all, I think you have one of the strongest intuitions of anybody I've ever met, because there's something that we're doing at New York Fashion Week that has to do with capes. So I think you're reading. Yeah, I think you know. So yeah, the cape. But you know what I love that you said about the cape? It's interesting because I do have a cape. I wrote the Warrior Women song and we were wearing capes in the video. But the interesting thing that you just said is that you have to have that invisible cape to be ready for something. That's what's interesting. And it's a different visual from what anybody have ever asked. So really interesting. And I think you're right. It's preparedness, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I think about just us as women. We're so resilient, and whether you have birthed a child or your dog mom or I just
Dog mom.
right, like we are just such strong creatures. And God made us wherever you're at on your as far as your religious beliefs. I believe in a higher power, and I feel as though we were made this way to do incredible things. And again, we are all warriors in some way, shape, or form.
I love that. Okay, so I know we only have, I think, 2 minutes left. So, any tidbits of advice or comments, that you want to add that you haven't had a chance to mention, or any upcoming programs you want to point to?
Yeah, I would, and as Jasmine mentioned, we will definitely give you all the links and resources, because our upcoming programming you can find on our landing page.
Right.
Truly, I have to double click on this. You don't have to do this alone. And it's not just about, yes, have your banker, have your CPA, but truly get very granular about that center of influence, whether it's 3 people, 5 people, and maybe just start with that
One can
North
be great.
Star. Right, right. One
Yeah.
could be plenty. One could be
One
plenty.
can be plenty.
Absolutely. So I would again just want to circle back and double click on that. Build your center of influence. I have people in my center of influence where they might not know they might not know they're there, but they're, whether it be distance or what have you, or time that has elapsed, we haven't connected. But again, my North Star and people I aspire to be like. So yeah, I'll leave it with that.
I love that. And I couldn't agree with you more on that. So, okay. So we're going to be announcing some things with Key4women. So we'll be putting everything in the show notes. Vanity and I will continue talking, and I can't wait till she comes to New York. And I can't wait till she's a part of a Warrior Women event, because this is where we all connect and great things happen. But yes, so as someone that deals in the revenue generation, I think the financial management and really understanding it. I love that you talked about the financial, well-being and the checkups. That's so, so important. It shouldn't be an afterthought. Marketing can sometimes take up 100% of your time as a woman business owner. Again,
Absolutely.
and I think that financial piece is a piece that requires sitting down, relaxing, and really understanding it. So I think it's so, so important. And I'm really thrilled that I found you. And I think my members
Likewise.
are going to be thrilled that that I found you, and it's something different and unique and personable. So more to come between Vanity and I, and KeyBank and Key4women. And as she mentioned, joining as a member there is free. So, and they have great programs. So I'm going to drop that into the show notes. The things that we're doing and have upcoming will drop in the show notes. And as far as episode 72 goes, this will be edited and shared across all channels. So if you listen to Spotify and so on and so forth, it will be there. So yeah, so I'm going to close off from episode 72, and I'm sure you'll meet her at a Warrior Women event. And again, my
Can't
name,
wait.
yeah, I can't wait. I love in person. So, my name is Jasmine Sandler, warriorwomenbusiness.com. Thank you, everyone who's joined us today. And for those of you that watch us in the future, I hope you really take what Vanity says to heart and get your financial, your well-being done and move your business forward.
Thank you so
So
much, Jasmine.
thank you. All right. Take care.
Take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye-bye.